Hey guys, Josh from SoccerReviewsForYou.com, bringing you another new stuff video where we take a look at some of the new items that just arrived for review that you can expect to see on the channel in the form of individual videos in the very near future. We're going to take a look at this new stuff in just a second, but as a quick side note, I'm sure a lot of you guys are aware of some of the sub box issues YouTube is experiencing at the moment. So if you don't want to miss my daily uploads, all you have to do is click the little bell notification next to the subscribe button. You'll see it down below this video, and you'll also see it on my channel. So if you want to be notified of when my new uploads go up on YouTube and are ready to watch, again, be sure to hit that little bell notification button, and you'll be notified as soon as I upload a new video, which happens every single day. So with that being said, let's get right into this new stuff video. Alright, so here is a look at what just arrived. You can see it's a few pairs of shoes and one match ball. Just because I know you guys are going to see it throughout the video, there's a very strong mess happening there on the left side of this office. I'm in the process of making some kind of end of the year videos, so that's why that disaster is there. I will clean it up eventually, but that's just my little explanation for being really messy here. But what I have as the first model is something a lot of you guys have been asking about. It's a shoe that I was personally very curious about as well. This is the New Balance MiUK, which MI stands for Made in the UK. It does say right here on the side that they're made specifically in England, just if you want to be, again, a little bit more specific. Now this shoe is interesting because it features a soft, very high quality kangaroo leather upper, and then of course it does take the bottom from the New Balance Vizaro top end model, the Vizaro Pro. Now, the one catch with this is while the quality is very good, while they're made in England, the retail price is quite expensive at $300 US. So is it worth that? That's kind of something I'm going to be talking about in this video. It competes against other kind of high-end made in Japan models from Mizuno with their Morelia. I guess this would compete with something like the Copa as well. But there are some interesting quirks that are unique to this specific shoe, mainly in regards to fit and this Vizaro bottom. So again, that's something we'll talk about in my individual review video, but nonetheless, I'm pretty happy with the quality of the shoe, at least out of the box. Next to those, I have something a little bit different. A lot of you guys have been asking to see some Concave stuff. They were nice enough to send these out. And this is the brand new, or newer, Concave Volt Plus. The shoe has a retail price of $210 US, so it's not particularly cheap, being that Concave is a smaller, I guess, lesser known brand in general. For those that aren't familiar with Concave, their thing has always been this kind of harder plastic, or at least firmer striking element in the form of almost a wedge placed in the middle of the shoe. You can see this does have that, although it's more of like a harder silicone, and it's closer towards the top of the actual tongue area, positioned pretty much right there in the middle. It's a synthetic upper, and it features a bottom that I guess it looks a little bit like the Pele Trinity, but isn't necessarily the exact same stud pattern. It's a pretty straightforward layout, bladed studs as you can see, and I guess it's a pretty interesting shoe. So this is something that, again, I will be featuring on the channel relatively soon. So look out for my review on the Concave Volt Plus. Next, we have a lot of the new Ace and Copa models from Adidas that a lot of you guys have been asking to see. This is, of course, the leather upper variation of the new Ace 17.1. This guy has a retail price of $200 US. And essentially it's a different variation of the X 16.1. That's kind of the best comparison I can make. Obviously it does feature a sprint frame and FG-AG stud pattern, pretty much the same layout you'll see from all Adidas models. A little bit different from the X line, but ultimately it won't perform that much different at all. And then of course the upper, which does feature the leather at the toe. That's kind of the basic formula for a lot of these leather upper variations from Adidas. It is a kangaroo leather for those that are wondering, and it does have some form of an internal support cage, hence why there is no stitching. And then the rest of the upper is that control skin material covered with the non-stop grip dots, kind of taken from the higher end Ace models, most notably the Ace 17.1 Primate, which I guess isn't higher end, it's just an alternate high end model, but of course this is low cut as opposed to being mid cut. So pretty interesting shoe. Just based on first impressions, I'm not sure this is a great option if you're really looking for a true leather like feel, but from trying them on, I'm really happy with how they fit. I think they got the shape down really good. And if anything, I did compare it to the X16.1. I think this fits a lot better than that shoe. And that's, again, something I'll talk about in my individual review. Next to those, or I guess all the other shoes, are takedown models, a lot of which you guys have been asking about. These are the Ace 17.2 Prime Mesh. This is the first takedown model in the Ace line. Retail is $130, so significantly less than the other top-end models, but at the same time, still decently expensive for a takedown model. This is the Prime Mesh upper variation, so it does get you the mid-cut aspect. That's basically this kind of stretchy, almost neoprene type material. And then the upper, in the red part at least, does appear to be a mesh base. It's neoprene through the middle. And then you have this interesting synthetic material at the toe that does feature this kind of I guess line pattern to it. I'm not sure if it's mesh. I guess it's the Prime Mesh upper, but it doesn't really feel or look like mesh to me. And again, it's kind of an interesting shoe. The bottom, obviously not a sprint frame. It doesn't have an external heel counter, so that does add some weight to the shoe. And I guess all in all, it's kind of what I was expecting. Again, more details in my individual review. Next to those, I have the first takedown model in the new Copa 17 line. So for those that know about the Copa 17.1, that's the top end model and what's actually a new line. It's not just a standalone shoe. So the Copa 17.2 is the first model below it. Top end, you're $200. 17.2, you're at $110. So it's a little bit different in that you don't have a kangaroo leather upper. You have a what's called Taurus leather, which essentially is Adidas's fancy made-up name for calfskin material. The quality of the leather is okay, although definitely not as good as the top-end shoe. You have this midfoot material that I believe is a synthetic, although it does feel quite soft and fairly leather-like. You obviously don't get the sprint frame, so therefore no external heel counter. Different liner on the inside entirely. Different tongue setup as well. This is more of a straight-up standard tongue that's actually quite short, which I thought was kind of interesting. And then the bottom, as you can see, is actually taken straight up from the Gloro 16.1. So that's kind of interesting in itself that it's not featuring the Ace bottom, which is what we see on the 17.1 Copa. So moving on, we have at the back row a pair of Ace 17.3 Prime Mesh. So this is the model below the 17.2. Retail on this is $80 US, so relatively inexpensive as far as takedown models go. And it's kind of interesting in that the quality of the shoe is not that bad, but the way it fits is kind of unusual. And again, I'll talk about that a little bit later in my individual review. But you can see it does feature what appears to be a mesh-based upper that looks and feels, quite honestly, a lot like what you're going to find on a higher-end Messi model, be it the Pure Agility or the 16.1. Not quite as nice, but very similar. That's what it immediately reminded me of, just based on how it looks and feels. It does have the neoprene running through the middle, and I guess the mid-cut aspect to a certain extent, even though it is kind of just an extension piece. And then, of course, a straight-up standard kind of TPU plastic sole plate with the Ace 17 stud pattern. Not a sprint frame like you'll find on the top end model. So again, we'll go over the details on that in my individual review. And then finally, we have the Copa 17.3, which has a retail price of $70 US, pretty inexpensive. Again, you're gonna find a lower quality calfskin leather upper here at the front, the toe part. You can see where the seam is, while the rest of the shoe is a synthetic material. It has a very large flap tongue, something that is not quite as big as what you're going to find, not quite as small as what you'll find on the 17.2, and not quite as, sorry, I completely screwed that up. It's bigger than what you'll find on the 17.1 and much bigger than what you'll find on the 17.2. And then again, no external heel counter like the top end model, and it does feature, I guess, a cheaper looking variation of what you'll find from the Gloro for the sole plate and stud pattern, although despite the looks, it'll be very similar in comparison to that 17.2. And then finally, we have a match ball right here. Not going to look at it for too long, but this is the is it Casavera? Yeah, I think it's, no, Krasava, sorry. Can't read today. Krasava, which is the Russia 2017 Confederations Cup official match ball. You can see her here in white with the red graphics, or the red details, and this kind of shattered look. I guess that's the best way to describe it. I think it's a pretty cool looking match ball, and again, expect to see an individual video on this along with the winter ball variation or the winter ball colorway very soon on the channel. Alright guys, that is it for the new stuff video. As always, let me know down below in the comments which of these items you'd like to see go up on the channel in the form of an individual video first. Whatever gets the most amount of requests is generally what I tend to upload right away. If you have any questions regarding these items as well, leave them down below in the comments and I definitely will get an answer out to you. If you do enjoy these videos and want to continue seeing the new stuff series happen on the channel, be sure to support the video with a like. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all of my social media information linked down below as well. And other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video. And as always, thanks for watching.